Hi, and welcome back to our Composers Talk. I'm Josie Svajda. I'm a composer for film and TV, and I also work at Synchron Stage Vienna. And that's where I'm right now. I'm here in our control room B, which is the smaller of the two control rooms. And control B is ideal when recording smaller sections, and it's also been used for mixing quite often. In fact, we just recently had installed another Atmos system here in control B. We've always had one in control A, but now you can mix a score in Dolby Atmos here in B while you record another project in control A. The composer we're going to talk to today is our fellow countryman, Austrian composer Adam Lucas, who is based in LA and works for Hans Zimmer's Bleeding Fingers Music. Adam was nominated twice for an Emmy Award in the category News and Documentary, and he did even win one for the nature documentary Primates, which he co-composed with Denis Santos. Let's see how he's doing now after these very turbulent and exciting months. Hi, Adam. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here today.
Hi, Josie. Hi, VSL team.
Hi.
Good to see you. Good to hear you.
Yeah, same. Good to see you. Thanks so much for taking the time. We're excited to have you. It's been such an incredible time for you over there.
It's been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride.
So how are you? I mean, how is it? You won an Emmy. Congratulations, by the way, from the whole team again and again.
Thank you so much. It all happened last week, and I'm still processing some of it. Many extremely beautiful things have happened. I got so many messages from people from home, from Vienna, from Carinthia, from Southern Austria, where I'm from. And that was so heartwarming. And I'm still overwhelmed, but slowly I'm starting to realize what happened. So yeah, crazy.
So was it like real for you, the moment that they announced that Primates won? I mean, how is that feeling? Do you actually realize this is happening, or is it just all surreal?
I'm gonna try to describe what I felt, because I'm having difficulties remembering it. It was when our category came up, my brain went into some sort of weird cloud feeling. I was like, it was all very weird to me. I almost wasn't present. I was just so nervous. Any heart meter that they would put on me would be like overload. We cannot measure this anymore. I felt so nervous like never before in my life. And when they were done with announcing the nominees, and the announcer said the Emmy goes to, and then there's this little gap before they say the name, and I just in German I'm bitte, like please, and then she said Primates, and then there was a brief moment of extreme happiness and relief. So the clouds were gone, and I felt crystal clear, oh my God, this is happening, until I remembered that I have to give this acceptance speech. I went back to being nervous again, yeah. But it was a great moment. I'll never forget it.
We're going to talk about the Emmys a little bit more later too, when Denis Santos, your co-composer, is going to join us. Let's start with more at the beginning of your career, or even like when you were born in Carinthia, in Austria. Did you grow up in a musical environment, and how did you get into composing for film in the first place?
Oh yeah, both my parents are musical. My mom is a singer, my dad, he plays kind of everything. He also did a lot of jingles, so he was like the Charlie Harper of Austria, you could say. And growing up in Carinthia, it's funny because what comes really easy to me, which is very handy as a composer, is I can easily come up with a melody. And I attribute this to being born into this environment, like first with my family, and also like Austrian folk music. It's so, everyone sings, everyone can sing, we love to sing, and we crank out the melody, and it's so easy. And so I'm really grateful that I was lucky to being brought up in this environment. Yeah, that surely helped. What got me into film music was actually not film. Because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with playing video games. And my favorite series was the Final Fantasy series, which had amazing music by Nobuo Uematsu. And it just fascinated me. For every scenery and setting, there was this music that fitted it so well. And as a kid, I just took it for granted. Oh yeah, this fits. And then when I grew older, I was like, but why does it fit? Oh, the notes that he chose, or oh, the instrument that he chose. And so I knew that I wanted to connect music with something else, like sceneries. And I couldn't really get into the video game industry, so I ended up in film. And here I am.
So what age was that? Were you like already being more grown up playing these video games, or was it as a child? Like,
Yeah, child. I mean, I started composing when I was 19, 20, something like that. Before that, I wanted to become a concert piano player. There was just one problem. I didn't practice enough. So I was not good enough. So my teacher at one point said, hey, we need to have a conversation. Like, if you want to pursue a career in becoming a piano player, you have to like up your practice and take it more seriously. I thought, I'm not sure if I want to do that. And then I started buying virtual libraries, and then I got into film music. Yeah.
What was your intention even to go to Vienna and start the film music career there?
I studied to become like a piano player, also a music teacher. And but when I got to Vienna, I discovered, oh, there's actually a film music scene. It was small, but it was very fine. And there was Hollywood in Vienna, and you guys, the Synchron Stage wasn't yet opened, but there was like talk about it, and everyone was like, I was like super excited for that. I remember that. So there was a spirit, something that really got me going. We held composer meetings, and always I couldn't do that back home. No one does film music there, or. But yeah, in Vienna, that was when it all sparked.
Did you actually study music and composition in Vienna then, or were you self-taught?
I thought about signing up for the media composition curriculum at the university, yeah. But I ended up not doing it for whatever reason. So whatever I do, like composing, producing, mixing, is self-taught. I went through the hellhole of YouTube tutorials, and then I invested in later on in proper tutorials. And I have I met a guy. He was amazing with mixing, so I flew to Germany for a weekend and paid him teach me everything you know. And I still do that. Yeah, I think there's no limit on how much you can know in this crazy profession of film music, and that's just composing and music. Then you haven't talked about philosophy, psychology, which is also a big part of writing film music. So yeah.
So, and when you lived in Vienna, and you said there was like a film scoring, film music scenery, a small one. How was it about getting jobs?
I was one of these annoying guys on Facebook. Someone posted, hey, we need a cameraman for this commercial. And I direct messaged them and said, hey, you're looking for a cameraman, and if I knew someone, I would recommend, to be like polite, but I would also say, just in case you need music, I happen to do music. And I got like a variety of messages back from, dude, we asked for a cameraman, so what's
So why the hell are you contacting me?
Yeah, and then, but other people were, hey, like, literally our next post would have been, we're looking for music, so hey, send us your stuff. So I got quite a few jobs by doing that, by being sneaky and annoying. And then when it built, I was happy that people recommended me to their colleagues, and then it kind of snowballed into bigger projects then.
And were they more Austrian-based, or did you already do some international, European, American stuff too?
I did international stuff, but a lot of it was Germany and Austria. I went to another thing where I would pay to learn. I attended this Mix with the Masters seminar with Alan Meyerson. And I met a guy there, Shah, and he's a film composer from India. And then we ended up doing a film together. I was orchestrating, conducting, and arranging, writing additional stuff. And that was a hell of a cool project. So yeah, I've worked with, I've also done stuff in Hong Kong. So hooray to the internet, I guess.
I think the film was called Yuri.
Yeah, Yuri the Surgical Strike.
Yeah, the Surgical Strike. Yeah, was that the first bigger production, international production you were part of?
I would say, yeah, definitely.
And that was also a production when you came to Synchron Stage to conduct, right?
Yes, we recorded
here.
in Vienna. So funny. So Shah grew up, basically he grew up in the desert. Like the climate was super hot, and he came to Vienna to record at Synchron Stage, and it was so freaking cold that he told me, Adam, I can't do this, like my legs are freezing. We went on Maria-Hilfer-Straße, and he was just so, he couldn't believe how cold it was, and then it started snowing, and then he stopped and said, Adam, I'm just experiencing my first snow ever in my life. And I think he's in his 30s, so that was a beautiful moment. And yeah, it was already very exciting, him visiting, and then the recording, of course, working with you guys. So plenty of fun, plenty of fun.
Since we're talking about recording here and everything, so how was your experience at Synchron? Was it your first time here then?
I actually, I worked with Sandra Tomek, and I got to be like standby orchestrator for a few projects at Synchron. So I was familiar with the facility, but entering the hall as a person who would conduct the orchestra, of course, was something else. Yeah.
Were you nervous?
I was not so nervous. I felt really just happy. Yeah. Because it wasn't really my music. All I had to do was make it sound good and have fun. And as a conductor, you have to, light the spark and give the impulse to the orchestra. And especially with the sort of music we recorded, it was so much fun. It was epic music. And we had horns, ton of horns and brass and a string section. So it was just straight up fun for me. I hope for everyone else as well. Yeah.
So Adam, why don't you want to tell us how you ended up in LA then? You're saying more the Asian market, first more German things. So what's the story behind that you ended up being at Bleeding Fingers now?
That's another weird story, actually. I made a close friendship with a colleague, a Slovenian composer called Anje Rosman.
Who is next door to you, probably?
Who has a studio here, yeah. And we used to attend the Hollywood Music Workshop in Vienna. And so we know each other since 8, almost 10 years by now, I think. And he got hired at Bleeding Fingers Music. And he didn't really tell me that he's about to do it, but he forwarded them my music. So once I got a message from him, hey, man, I sent them your stuff. Let's see what happens. I was like, okay, thanks, man. And I started to, they did like it. So I was happy about that they liked my stuff. And I started working with them remotely, which means I would get briefings and I did my stuff in Vienna. And that would go on for months and months until I got a call some late night, almost midnight, from Russell Emanuel, the CEO here at Bleeding Fingers Music and Extreme Music. And he asked me if I want to come work at the headquarters. And at the same time, I was really happy, but also I felt like someone pulled a rug under my feet, because it would mean leaving my family, friends, so much behind. But I knew that I just have to go with it and try it and see what happens. I'm very happy I did it.
I remember because we talked about it too, and
Right.
when I was bleeding still, and you were visiting, and
Right,
also
yeah.
back in Vienna, you were like, "Should I really do this?" And of
Yes,
course, everyone said, "Do it." I mean, you have to do it, right? But
Right.
it's something different to leave home, right? And to
It is. And I thought I'm just gonna go home every other month and visit my family. And then I got here and this thing started. COVID. And then
oh, this thing, yeah.
yeah, this thing. And then suddenly there was no I'm on a visa here, right? So I couldn't really I could go back to Austria, but I couldn't get back into the US
Get back here.
for the last 2 years. So
How did you cope with that? I mean, because I left before COVID, the year
Yeah.
before, and I kind of was happy to be at home and not being able to not be able to go home. But
Right.
I mean, you were there and you had work, and work continued. What I know from you guys, like you were not like so many others who were like, okay, it's COVID and there's nothing to do, and you know.
Yeah.
So at
No,
least you
I-
could continue doing your work.
I was busy throughout throughout all COVID, yes, and that kept me busy anyways. So there was no time to like mourn or anything. Being the Queen, the show, I did completely at home in my apartment with like a really small setup, and we recorded the orchestra remotely. So everyone would play, and then the mixing engineer John Chapman he would have the this massive challenge to like get it to sound right, and it worked really well. And yeah, so and that also got nominated for a News and Doc Emmy. So I was surprised that just me being at home on this like kind of sized down workstation that I had, it would work. Yeah.
Right.
I guess there's no excuse.
So obviously, after like being there for a while, and you have your work, you have your success, you have friends and everything, but you still miss Austria as a culture. Do you think sometimes like, oh, okay, now I would like to have, I don't know, Leberkäse or something like this?
Every day I miss home. Yeah, and I stay in touch with my family. We're communicating daily. I'm keeping up with Austrian politics. Yeah, I really feel that. But at the same time, I try to stay focused here, and I have a lot of work. I'm about to start like a new big project that's gonna keep me busy until July, something like that. So I'm fine.
So talking about this, probably you cannot say too much about it, what you're going to be up to in the next couple of months and which projects. But in general, like Bleeding Fingers is doing a lot of TV stuff, successful TV, also library music. So it's a specific genre too. It's not like movies or commercials. I remember the deadline sometimes could be pretty rough, and has to be a lot of work has to be done in a specific time frame. So how is this for you? How did you experience? How was the last 2 years for you?
Everyone told me in the US they have different work ethics. They work more and they hustle. There's a mindset of if you're gonna make it, then you need to put in the work. So I was kind of expecting it to be crazy. And I do work more, but the one beautiful thing that came with it is that I was able to completely eradicate writer's block. I almost never have it anymore, because if at the end of the day you have to put out 90 seconds of music or almost 2 minutes of music, I cannot afford to have any writer's block, or I cannot afford to be, is this good enough? If I start work at 8 or 9 and I go with the best idea I have at 10 a.m.
Well, yeah, I mean, I totally understand. Like when you have more time, like if there's no real crazy deadline, then you do an album for yourself, for example,
Yeah.
then you're never going to get it done. You're never going to be satisfied. You're always trying to change things up a little bit. If you don't
Right.
have the time for it, then you have to go with the best idea that you have in that moment. And maybe it's also like not so much self-criticism anymore. Is that a thing? Like you just do it and then you get feedback anyway from your
I still
bosses,
have tons of
producers.
that. Yeah, every note I play, I'm insecure about.
You're okay. Still
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
That-
But you
I
still
think
just
that-
don't have the time to think about it.
Yeah, that I think never goes away. But knowing that at the end of the day I have to send something out, I just move on, and that has been really good for the mind. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's good. It's a good training too. Yeah.
it is.
I remember.
And I got so much
doing tracks for
faster.
the library.
Yeah, I used to work much more, like 10 or 12 hours per day, and right now I'm honestly I'm pretty much doing a 9 to 6. Not because I work less, I just got faster and a bit more confident, and I know what works and I know what doesn't work, and you just get way faster.
Okay, so one question I'm curious about, since I was an assistant at Bleeding Fingers, and a lot of like peers and people I know like do the assistant road, come from being an intern to an assistant, and hopefully they move on or whatever. So you never had to do that in a way, right? So you kind of jumped that part. Do you think it might have been like beneficial for you if you would have been an assistant to a bigger composer, for example, in terms with education and experience and working on big projects is concerned? Or are you actually quite happy that you could skip that part?
I think both. It would definitely have benefited me if I were to like assist someone who knows his stuff, and there's no doubt about that. But it's true that I've never assisted, but I also never had an assistant before working here. So I was my own assistant. I came up with my own way to print and to set up my template, and so I didn't skip the learning part of what it means to be a tech, and I benefit from that daily. Still, I have an assistant now, but I still know how everything works, and I'm really glad I went through that.
And you play an instrument, right? Guitar? No, what is it?
Yes, I do play the piano, and I can get a sound out of a guitar, a bass guitar. I fool around with percussion instruments, but I suck at them. It's more about getting out some sounds and doing sound design. I love that, and it can be anything you can tap on or you can make a sound out of. I'm obsessed with that.
You incorporate it in your music, right?
Oh,
You
yeah.
actually sit in your room and you record the guitar chord or
Totally.
instruments like you.
I'm telling you one example. So for the Primate show, we had a lot of like claps and snaps. We're gonna explain with Denise later why we had that, but I was looking for a way to make snaps more interesting. And that's kind of weird because a snap is a snap, and you can do 2 snaps, but I found a way how to do 2 snaps with one hand. And then it took me a lot of like time to practice with my other hand. So now I could do 4 snaps at one time.
Oh my God, how do you do that? What do you have to do?
You have to practice. It's the 4th and the 3rd finger, and then
do both fingers, right?
Yeah, and I recorded that over and over again, and I ended up with a massive snap, and just imagine layered like 8 times, and then it created a whole new sound. So, and that's just me and my fingers, and then yeah, you can make a cool sound out of almost anything.
That's so creative. It's nice. Yeah, I love it. Oh my God, look who's here.
Hi.
Denise Santos is joining us. That's such a pleasure. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Josie.
Hi,
see
thank you
you.
for coming all over.
Oh,
to
of
the
course.
studio.
Happy to do this.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, you guys, amazing. Congratulations. Now you're both sitting there, so I need to say it again. Wow, we're so excited that you guys won, seriously.
Thank you.
We're very excited.
I thought it was so cute, the reaction. I thought it was so cool that you posted that Facebook post when whoever was it, Russell, someone was filming you and you
Josh,
reacted.
my husband Josh,
you were
he
like,
was filming.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And Lucas had to be like, oh, as you said before, you needed to actually give the speech.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, he really
amazing.
transitioned really well from being surprised into just like serious mode, do the speech. Like I was impressed.
Yeah, we
yeah.
saw that.
But as soon as the camera was
really
off, I was like all party
It was
mode.
just like being an actor right now. So, I need to give the speech. So I
Yeah.
turn on the button.
Yeah, he
But
was
then
like-
there was the second video where you were like, yes! And everyone. So tell us a bit about the show, Primates.
So it's commissioned by BBC, and it's a 3-episode documentary about primates. So, we look into the lifestyle of all primates around the world.
Which is interesting from a scoring standpoint because you have primates, it's just one word, but and one family, but you have the gorillas, like the massive silverback gorillas. You have more like hamster-like sized monkeys,
Bush babies.
the bush babies.
Yeah.
From a scoring perspective, it was really interesting and challenging to get them all under the same umbrella while like
Yeah.
having it sound the same, but still giving every animal what it specifically needs. We learned a lot. We learned a lot. It's our closest relatives.
So how was it like working together? How did you decide like who's scoring what? Did you like, when you say there are different animals, like did Denise take over the one animal and Adam, you took over the other animal? Or was it just like a mixture of?
It wasn't so much based on the animal. It was just like we watched the scene and we kind of just thought who would do this faster and stronger, and we assigned scenes to each other. But like we shared, like, for example, a gorilla sequence.
Right.
So it wasn't really assigned per animal.
Yeah. It was more like a feeling. Hey, I feel strong about doing this.
Yeah.
Or Denise she's hilariously funny, so she did a lot of the fun scenes, and she really nailed those. It's really difficult to be funny with music. Like everyone can throw in some sad chords, right?
Right.
But being genuinely funny, and there were a lot of scenes where the mood was more like in a quirky sort of way, and those were challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. And since Adam wrote the theme, every time there was like a really thematic moment in the episode and throughout the whole series, he would kind of take over that. And if it's like really beautiful landscape, lush scenes, those would generally like go to Adam. And he did such a great job with just like, his orchestration. I learned so much just listening to Adam's work and watching him create such beautiful music. I wouldn't have done the same thing, and it was just like beautiful watching him work.
Thank you. Are you getting paid to say this?
I think so. I think you owe me a coffee. There, thank you. Done. Okay, I'm done for the day. Thank you very much. Can I have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how did you then, obviously you talk about the scenes, you watch the scenes together, right? So that all obviously helps when you're and that was not COVID yet, so Denise was actually working in the studio, right?
Yes.
So you can't just go next door and say like, so what do you think of this and what do you think of that? So that's why the environment at Bleeding Fingers is like really like ideal to work as partners and to work as a team on a score, because you just have like the same environment, the same possibilities, templates, similar sounds you're working with too, right? So how did you have like same template? Did you actually say, okay, we're gonna use these sounds, so it's gonna be under the same umbrella? Or did you like try to leave each other's freedom as you would work normally too?
I think in the beginning we did our own thing, and then like after we finished our own scenes, we then like got together and said, let's put our sounds together.
Yeah. We would give each other feedback. We would share patches that we found. We would share chord progressions we found. We decided on what not to do. We didn't use any brass or anything. So there were a few things that we just got on the same page. Even though we're two different composers, we wanted it to sound really homogeneous.
Yeah.
Right. And that's challenging, right? I mean, it can be challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it
Did
is.
you have a
but
lot of time for that show, or was it all like fast-paced?
it was fast. It was fast. It was 3 episodes and I think 55 minutes of music per episode, something like that.
And we had 3 months.
And we had, we basically did an episode per month,
Yeah.
which was, I mean, it's not too bad, but
But it was fast because sometimes
it felt fast.
Yeah,
right?
because sometimes like you'll know about the project way ahead, and then it comes months
Yeah.
after, and then you start. This one we just like knew about it, started. Like,
Yeah.
all right, we're jumping right in. So, but yeah,
Yeah, it was a hell of a ride, but we had so much fun. Good
it was
times.
so fun.
The recordings were fun.
I remember, yeah. I mean, I remember because I talked to Denise a couple of times.
Yeah.
And didn't you post some monkey stuff? Like, wasn't the monkey figure just like the thing that came up all the time? It's like, I think they're having lots of fun.
We were being monkeys. I remember there was one time we were watching one of the episodes, and we were just laughing so much to where Greg came into the studio and was like, "What's going on here?" And we were just like,
Something funny about the monkey suit. Denise gave an interview to CNN in the Philippines. And they probably asked for some behind-the-scenes photo, and Denise sent the monkey suit photo. So I'm on CNN Philippines wearing a monkey suit.
I'm never not gonna share that picture. Like, it has to be.
Oh yeah, I remember that time. It's so funny. Wasn't this one of your first projects at all, like Adam, when you started at Bleeding Fingers? Wasn't this one of the first things
Yes,
they put you
it
on?
was, yeah. I remember I was just walking the halls and bumping into Russell. And he always asked, "What are you working on? What are you doing?" And then I told him, and, "Mate, come to my office." And he showed me the first footage of Primates. And I thought, oh my God, am I gonna work on this? And so he asked me to write a theme. And I took like 2 or 3 days to come up with something because I knew this really need to be good. This better be good. And after like 2 or 3 days, Russell was already, "Hey, like, where's the theme?" And then I sent him the first draft, and he really loved it. But he said, "I love it, but mate, it's just 1 minute." So I literally took the time to like do this 1 minute, but find a really good melody.
That's really comforting.
Yeah, so
To know.
Yeah, and I told him, "Thanks, Russ. I will get right back and work on it, and I'll submit the full 5 minutes shortly." And I did that, and then yeah, the BBC and they liked it, and it plays a bunch over the. The idea was we needed some sort of piece of music that would unite all these primates. They're one family. They're so different, but yet they're one family. So the theme resembles that.
And that's the first thing you wrote, was that theme.
This was
ended
the
up
first
being
piece of music
becoming
for
the
this
theme.
show, yeah.
So have you ever imagined back then when you started writing it that it would be so successful and that you would actually win an award?
The funny thing is, Russell, in one of our first meetings, he just joked about, "Yeah, I want you guys to win an Emmy for that." And then, yeah, we should, I think we were talking about doing recordings and like budget and stuff. And then, yeah, he really was very supportive. And he joked about this winning some award. And then, so in hindsight, maybe we were just doing our job. We were just doing what Russ asked us to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We're incredibly happy that everything turned out so well, the show, and we're really proud of the music, and that it gets this acknowledgement of winning an award, an Emmy is truly humbling. Yeah. We're very honored.
Truly amazing and well deserved, definitely.
Thank you, Josie.
Oh, so happy. Actually, when you say like Russell choked about it, I remember me and Denise talking on Skype, and you were like, "I think Russell wants to send it in for the Emmys." Like, I think you didn't even believe that's actually possible. And
I know.
This way, and it's like, and then it ended up actually you guys winning, and so amazing.
So we were given that little nugget that, this could be submitted to the Emmys. So we would also joke around between the
Yeah.
two of us, like when, you know, when crunch time came and it was really like stressful, we're like, Emmy, like let's do it for them, you know.
Yeah.
But it was all joke. You don't really, we didn't
Yeah.
really realize how, I guess, our energy of joking around about it maybe encouraged us to finish it and make it to the deadline, you know.
It was more of a tool to get us going, to get us to the finish line. Just
Yeah.
think about something exciting.
Some
and
happy
then-
thoughts,
Yeah.
you know.
So you have a goal and you want to reach it within that timeline, and
Yeah.
then you just like it's ready to be submitted. Otherwise, would have waited
Right.
till next year, right?
Yeah.
Is there any like maybe another project coming up when they're gonna put you together, since you now seem to be like,
yeah.
the perfect
we
scoring
would,
team?
we would hope for that to happen.
Right?
But Denise worked on a lengthy show.
It was another nature show, and I worked with Austin Hammonds. So he's a new composer at Bleeding Fingers. I don't think you met him anymore.
I think I have not met him, but
Yeah.
we talked about
While-
like you told me that.
While I was busy on other stuff, and I'm starting a new project now. But I hope that me and Denise will
Right? Can we ask for it?
maybe for the successor of
Yeah,
Primates.
maybe
Yeah.
do ask officially in this video now.
Primates
Russell, please, can you
2.
put us
If this video gets 1,000 likes, we'll
Right.
team up.
We're gonna do Primates 2 and we're gonna team up again.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. It was
Thank
great
you.
pleasure to have Adam first doing the interview with us as an Austrian fellow countryman, and Denise, my good friend, which just for the audience, like I know her for many years now. We've been in the assistant room together, and I saw her career and everything, her rising up. So it's really beautiful to watch. And yeah, wish you all the best
Thank you,
with everything
Josie.
that comes
Thank you.
along, and hopefully see you soon in
Yes.
LA, in Vienna. Adam, coffee, beer, anything.
Both.
And yeah, maybe see you at Synchron Stage. Who knows?
We hope for that
some
to
recording?
happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
definitely.
Oh my god, I would love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
so.
then you have a reason to visit me too.
Yes, I'm going for you. Whatever. I'll zoom in from your house into Synchron.
All right. Well, thanks so much again, you guys. Congratulations again from
Thank you.
everyone here. And we're so proud of you. And
Thank you.
take care.
Take care.
Bye bye, Adam and Denise.